We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock them out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North talk.
Welcome to another edition of AFC North Talk, and I don't know, it wasn't a great week one for the North.
It was a great week one.
Only one fan base is excited. Only one fan base is enjoying the week one. Obviously, for me, it was harder because Thursday night, and I just hear be the only L on the whole league, right? There's no other L in the league. Well, until Friday. Friday we had the Packers. That hurt more because Love got injured. And then the weekend happened and so on. So we got to get into all that. Let's start with this. Let's start with the Ravens game. Since this was the first one, since it's Thursday, it's almost a week away. I'm going to have you guys give your thoughts first. Ace, what do you, as you were watching this game, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, at first when I was watching this game, I thought that the Ravens kind of went into this one wanting to do what they didn't do last time, right, which is run the football, establish that presence there. They started to do that. They ran with Derrick Henry. I honestly thought that they'd run a little more with Derrick Henry, but I feel like they kind of went out in this game looking to exact some revenge against Pat Mahomes, looking to try to do some things, going out, trying to strike first, trying to keep up with this team. And I think that they did a great job of that until they got into around the third quarter. Didn't end up putting up any points in that one. And Kansas City, it seemed like they were starting to pull away, but the Ravens just kept staying there. And, you guys had a lot of, drop-off passes and stuff like that. So I was wondering where they were going with that. Was a little surprised to see. And I think, Sonny, I give you credit because I think you kind of talked about this. But Justice Hill seemed to be involved a lot early on, more than I thought that he would have as like the running back, right? But he was able to get some stuff going. Isaiah likely was able to do some things in this game. Mark Andrews, I don't know if it's a product of, the accident, him being shaken up, but just wasn't much of a factor in this game that I expected him to be, right? Like when I hear the Baltimore Ravens, I'm thinking Zay Flowers, I'm thinking Mark Andrews. Isaiah likely looks like he kind of tried to I'm sorry, my sound is going off a little bit. Isaiah likely looked like he was trying to step up there from that standpoint. Ravens defense still looks the part as what they are. Rashad Bateman had a pretty solid game for you guys. But all in all, the Chiefs ended up taking this one, and the whole league messed up and let them boys end up getting Xavier Worthy, which was crazy. When that play happened, I was just like, bro, what are we doing? We giving – Go ahead.
We were here live when it happened, right? On the draft stream.
Yeah, so when the Worthy stuff happened, that was crazy. But the Chiefs just look like the Chiefs, man. They are hitting the ground running. So I think if you're Baltimore, the fact that it came down to the very last play of the game, you have to feel like that's somewhat of I don't know. I don't want to say moral victory, but you feel like, hey, we're in there. We had a chance. And I feel like if Baltimore would have scored that, I think they go for 2 to try to get the win, right? Especially with Arrowhead. You're definitely going to go for it in that situation. So I think if you're Baltimore, yes, you didn't want to start 0-1. But if you feel like you were able to establish yourself, get over 400 yards on the Chiefs, do your thing, come within inches, pause of getting a victory there, I think that you feel comfortable with making that kind of performance happen, even though it's a loss.
Hugh.
Yeah. How do I put this eloquently? The Ravens could like if you're a Ravens fan, you could talk yourself into, hey, it was close. We could have escaped with the win. But like, if I'm looking at this from the perspective of the Ravens being a team that you expect to be a Super Bowl contender, right? Like a Super Bowl contender, then I have to acknowledge that you got to beat Kansas City when they give you an opportunity to come back into the game like that. When you have an opportunity to tie the game, you got to capitalize on these. Like, it's nice that it's close. We all expected the game to be close, though. Like, you don't get any points for playing a close game when we expect you to be on the same level as Kansas City or you to be a team that can surpass them. So, yeah, it's all good that they were able to play a close and really competitive game for some parts of it, right? For a good chunk of this game. It felt like Kansas City was messing around, toying around. J-Rock, is they? Okay. So
muted up.
Okay. But for a good chunk of this game, it felt like Kansas City just wasn't putting the finishing blow on Baltimore. Multiple times. They should have capitalized and ended this game sooner than it did. They left the door open. Baltimore almost came back, but they didn't. They lost. Just like they lost in the conference championship game. And if you're a Baltimore team wondering if you can get over that hump, how does this game give you confidence that you can get over that hump? Because you got a Pat Mahomes game where he didn't play extraordinarily well. The Chiefs didn't play extraordinarily well. This wasn't like the best game they could put together. And still couldn't do it. Still couldn't get over the hump. It was once in Baltimore. Now it's time in Kansas City. How many swings at it that you lose until it is what it is with Baltimore, right? Where is their ceiling? Is their ceiling Kansas City? I mean, I walk away from this game thinking, yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with that being their ceiling. We can talk about Derrick Henry in this game, right? I've talked about it all summer that it would look like this. It's only one game. You got to give it a whole half a season before you make any broad declarations. But one game in, you feel pretty confident that, yeah, one game in, and it looks like it looks. Did you say something, Sonny, or were you muted? Okay. But one game in, and it kind of looks like what I said about Derrick Henry is what it is about Derrick Henry in that system. We'll see if that ends up being true. But, yeah, I mean, Baltimore, they look like a team that's very similar to what they were last year, a really good defense. But offensively, I see a team that is far too reliant on Lamar Jackson. Lamar has to do way too much for this offense. And when Lamar has to do way too much for this offense, that's going to show itself either in the playoffs or in a game like that. He's going to eventually run out of gas or not make the play that he's been having to make all day. And shout out to Isaiah Likely. He did help Lamar Jackson out in tremendous touchdown catch. Like, I'm not saying nobody on the offense showed up, but Lamar had to lead the team in rushing yards. He had to be the quarterback of the team. This isn't much different than it was last year, and this is the stuff that we said, hey, Baltimore needs to fix this in order to get over the hump. The wide receivers weren't getting much separation. Like, Zay Flowers was able to get some separation, but a lot of his touches were on design plays. So I'm not – and also another thing I would point out here, Sonny, how many of the big plays that Lamar Jackson made while throwing were on broken plays or on plays where he's extending and you're outside the structure of the play, right? I think the Rashad Bateman play was that. Same thing with the couple of big Isaiah Likely plays.
Yeah, that was big. Yeah, he missed a couple on their structure plays too.
Yeah, and there were some. I mean, like, I don't really blame him for the two throws he missed at the end.
Yeah, no, not those.
Like, those are just tough throws, and you've been asking this man to make tough throws all game, and eventually it's just not going to happen when you press the button that much. Kansas City does not have to press the Pat Mahomes button this much to win a football game. But just if you're Baltimore, it's like you got to spam Lamar Jackson the whole game to win a game offensively. That's got to be a problem. I mean, I don't really subscribe to the fact that he's not going to make it through the year because he's running the ball a lot. Lamar Jackson has been the leading rusher on the Baltimore Ravens since 2019. It's not new, right? Like, I'm not worried about his durability because of that. He's been durable. Some years he's done that. Some years he's caught injuries. It just kind of is what it is. But I just think that this philosophy with Baltimore, if they're talking about being a team that breaks through and wins a championship, this is going to get in their way. You can't rely on your quarterback this much offensively and think that that's going to hold up in the playoffs, in the championship games, win 4 games in a row, get to a Super Bowl, win it. And ultimately, I see Baltimore being similar to what they were last year, which is, hey, they're probably going to be in contention to win the North. They might just straight out win the North. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to get a home playoff game, right, if they win the division. But what are they going to do past that? I wasn't convinced of anything that showed me that they're going to be any different. Maybe in a month or two, they get this Derrick Henry thing right, and it looks way different. But from what we saw there on Thursday, they're a good team. Baltimore's a great team, and you might miss that because the tone of my monologue here is not positive. But they're a great team. They'll do what they did last year at the very it's a fair expectation for them to do that. But at the end of the day, I can't walk away from that game being like, man, Baltimore, it might be different this year. I don't know anybody who is on this panel that would feel that way, other than just hoping for it to be the case. That's what I walked away from with Baltimore. They're going to be Baltimore.
And one more thing real quick, Sonny. The O-line. O-line looks scary for me. I would be, if I was a Ravens fan, that's the one negative I didn't talk about. The offensive line, even though they only gave up 2 sacks, that jersey was a little dirty.
Yeah, I'll address that after J-Rock. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Going into my my take on it. I can say I'd be surprised on the results, but I'm not. The keys to the week I gave you last week was controlling the weapons that they had on offense. As far as the KC, Pacheco, he didn't have outstanding numbers. He got some good plays in. He had some good solid first downs that he needed to convert for KC, and he did. Xavier Worthy with the big catches in the game. I think he had 2 touchdowns, correct? So I mean, proof is in the pudding. I mean, he came in and immediately plug and play and contributed. And obviously, we know Mahomes. There's only so much you can do to kind of control him. But the key for me was for the Ravens to control the clock and run the ball. They did that on the first drive with Derrick Henry. After they scored their touchdown, and it seemed like as soon as they scored their touchdown with Derrick Henry, they said, "All right, you can go sit down now." Because I didn't really see him after that. I seen him a few times, but then after that, it was Justice Hill. So I'm not sure if it was more like an injury thing or they didn't want to really say that. But I think that was a big blow for them because at that point, like you said, you put the ball in Lamar's hands, and you had to pretty much have him carry the rest of the game. It's hard to do with one phase of the game if all you have is Lamar Jackson. I think that they did decent. I think that they did really good offensively. Like I said, Isaiah Likely with the touchdown. I think that they had some good other passes in there with Bateman, like you were saying. But it was just too much for them to try to do all at one time, and to try to have that come down to the last play of the game. I think that was a lot to ask for your tight end, even though he's good, but it's a second string tight end. Defensively, I think they did pretty good. I think that they held up as much as they probably could against KC. But as much as you give Pat Mahomes the ball, that's as much chance as you had to lose. Because he when I proved it, all he need to do is put the ball in his hands. And he's going to score. He's going to put his team in position to go win. He's going to convert those first downs. He's going to make those tight throws. And he's going to amp the team up. And I'm pretty sure if any other quarterback was in besides Mahomes, they wouldn't have had that same fight. So, I mean, like I said, again, I could say that I'm surprised, but I'm not. And a big part of it is because they didn't stick with their game plan as far as running the ball. They threw the ball too many times. So you throw the ball too many times and give it a chance and stop that clock and give him a chance, Mahomes a chance to win the game, he's going to do it.
Now, J-Rock, you were looking for where Derrick Henry went the rest of the game. All you had to look was 2 yards from the Ravens line of scrimmage, and there on the ground was Derrick Henry the whole game. That's where he was. It was that there were maybe 2 carries outside that first drive where he had more than 5 yards on the carry, but everything else, I mean, what he averaged 3.4.
Yeah.
Hey, and remember, I brought this up.
But my question is, if you bring in somebody like Derrick Henry in, do you take him out to put Justice Hill in?
I mean, Justice Hill looked better.
Well, I really think, and what I was saying last week is I think that they're really gonna miss Michael Keaton because I think he was that real number 2.
He's coming back, though, right?
Yeah,
I definitely think that he was a nice change of pace back for the Ravens. I think they're really missing him right now, and I think that they was going to be able to plug Justice Hill in there and it'd be the same thing, but it wasn't.
No, so a couple of things here. This is a game that I was frustrated. Let me start with this early in the game. I don't know what Zach Ward was doing. I don't know. Zach Ward, the defensive coordinator. I don't know what he was thinking. But you had linebackers on wide receivers on a one-on-one. A man. And I'm like, what linebacker can cover any of these receivers one-on-one on a post? Roquan got exposed one or twice, but the guy, they ate him alive through the game, which I had no idea he was going to start or play this much, was Malik Harrison. Malik Harrison got juked left and right. And I'm like, I thought Trent Simpson was injured. I'm like, he's not in the field. He must be injured. He must be, because Malik Harrison is getting abused anytime. And Mahomes was just going after him. Again, he went after Rowe once when Sheree Rice. But we're talking running backs, tight ends, receivers. Anything Malik was nearby, he was going against Malik Harrison. And Malik was just getting, again, abused. And for some reason, there was no adjustment. There was no adjustment for a while. Then once that got adjusted, that the linebacking core was not on receivers, then Pat Mahomes had more difficult time. I will say this: a guy that I don't want, because we have a meme of the pressure, but Odafe was putting the pressure all game. Mahomes wasn't like completely vibing there in the pocket. There was pressure. There was no sacks, which drives me insane, but there was definitely pressure. So on defense, that was a problem. Definitely, that was a problem. I think Zach Ward, as the season goes, that happened with McDaniels when he started with the Ravens at the beginning. He was not great, and then he got his footing and he got better. But so for me, that was a problem. The O-line. I forgot who of you guys mentioned the O-line. The right side specifically. Voorhees. So we talk about 3 new guys. Voorhees in the left guard. We have Fahalele, which shoot me now, right guard. And right tackle, we had a combination between Rosengarten and the guy that has been here forever.
Oh, you talking about, was it Tyree Phillips or something like that?
No. McCarty.
Pat McCarty.
So Voorhees was doing great. Voorhees did good. That left side actually was really solid. The right side was not. Fahalele was just completely missing. Chris Jones was eating them alive. That right side. There was a point in the game that you see Chris Jones, he was just on the right side. Against Fahalele or Rosengarten also whiffed from one really bad, but he was just not good. So and the O-line, I think, they didn't allow Derrick Henry to get into his flow on the running side, and that's when they said, okay, we really cannot run in between the tackles today, right? Now Mark can run between the tackles because broken plays, because we can just make misdirection and keep Lamar can keep it. But other than that, there was no running between the tackles because for all the things that you don't talk Justin Hill, he just rushed it once. Where he excelled was on the open field, on the dump play, and the open. He is a shifty guy, and that's how he had all his yardage. Running the ball, there was nothing there, nothing. On the passing side, look, Isaiah likely had a hell of a game. Zay Flowers had a hell of a game. Bateman had a couple of clutch catches. Lamar played 47 minutes, a hell of a football, and then at the end, he did miss 2 throws. The last one was a great throw. Likely didn't get his feet in bounds. I mean, I'm not blaming either one in there, but the first down throw to Likely should have been catch or should have been throw better. The Zay Flowers pop open, he should have seen Zay, right? So those plays he needs to make. As a 2-time MVP, he needs to make that. The O-line is the biggest concern. If you say, Sonny, look, I agree with Q right now. and the Ravens after the game were like, "Oh yeah," or Lamar said, "The Chiefs are not my kryptonite." No, right now they are your kryptonite because if you check Lamar Jackson's record against any team, there's two teams that he has struggled. One is the Chiefs, and the other one is the Steelers. Those are the two teams that usually give him the most grievance. That's his worst record is against those two teams. The rest of the league has hell of a record, right? So yes, they're your kryptonite, and you need to beat them at some point, right? It's not that he's over, but he just beat them once, only once. So O-line is a work in progress. The left side, I think, again, Voorhees, in my opinion, played really good, so I'm not necessarily worried about him. The right guard for Halele, oof, that was concerning. And I think Makari did his thing. I think they want Rosengarten to take it, right? So that's why they were splitting times because they want to give him reps so he can take that position, and Makari can be the utility backup for all the team. It was tough. They have opportunities, as Q said. I think defensively, there was that lapse on defense. The one that I said, what the hell did Marlowe did? But Marlowe was waiting for safety over the top, right? I think he was thinking there's too high safety. And the left side had the one high safety. I think Hamilton was on the left side high. But Marcus Williams was low for some reason. So somebody obviously messed up on the call. Again, Marlowe thought that he had help. He didn't follow Worthy. Worthy was just there wide open. And that was the touchdown won the game at the end of the day. Also, dumb plays and penalties killed this team. And I understand the refs, but if you were on Twitter, people were crying on the refs. And the refs weren't great, but you cannot let the refs dictate your game, right? The refs are calling the illegal formation thing because Stanley kicking their foot out too much, right? I think adjust. I understand Taylor was doing it too, but whatever. You adjust. You have to adjust. They're calling it against you. You adjust. Yeah, so for me, the refs thing, again, Baltimore Ravens fans were crying on it. I get it. It sucks, but we have to move on from that. The biggest thing is there a lot to build from this game? Yes. Does it suck because you lost to the Chiefs? And again, psychologically, I think what Q said is a good way to describe it. Is that your ceiling? Well, sure, it looks like it. So you need to figure it out. And the O-line is your biggest weakness right now. Definitely your biggest weakness. You went against a great D-line, right? In the North, there's a lot of really good D-line, right? So you have to figure this out because you have at least 4 more games against D-lines that are equally as good as the Chiefs. They don't have that guy in Chris Jones, right? That's special. No Donald right now. That is the guy in the D-line. They still have really good D-lines that could present problems to the offensive line, so they need to figure this out. Okay, we have some super chats here, and then we go to the next one. The 180 said it before, we'll say it again. Q's Browns have the worst QB room in the division again. Deshaun, when healthy, has been cheeks.
Well, we'll find out if the room is the worst soon.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Grip Flow says, "Am I crazy to think the Raiders go under 500?
Under 500 is kind of crazy.
That's
That's a little crazy. And I'm a Bengals fan. That's crazy.
That's actually like
my
lowest estimation for the Raiders would be like they sneak to 10.
By the way, at the end of the day, if you check stats-wise, and this is not a game that there was pat statting because it was a close game throughout, the Ravens have more passing yards or more total yards, right? Almost the same passing yards, more rushing yards. Yes, I would not call them efficient rushing yards because it was through Lamar, but because you have Lamar, you always have that ability to move the ball with him. The 188 says, 8, you get in it too. I said to friends that Bengals game was gonna be tougher than it looked. They just played thought deep and punched y'all in the face.
It's funny how he was like,
must be a Steelers fan, huh? Must be a Steelers fan. Y'all feeling good. Y'all showed up today.
Yeah, they feeling good about their 15 points.
First time in like 6 months, man. Hey, good. Glad to see y'all
definitely
here.
the first time we didn't kick out the season.
But Ace, you notice how he told a friend this.
Yeah,
the 188 be super chatting every week. Where was he last week saying the Patriots is gonna beat the Bengals? Did it happen?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember
you
any
don't
super
remember.
chat saying the Patriots gonna beat the Bengals. Come on, dog. Don't tell us you
good.
saying you was right to your friends. You be here every week.
You did right. The 188, man. Don't talk until you win, man. Don't talk until you win.
Come on, what Michael Jordan say? I could enjoy a man who talks shit when they down. You know, I can respect a man like that. But come on, you just gonna talk like you up. Don't tell me you had a prediction if you ain't say it on wax before it was true.
By the way, I was gonna also say it is impressive to go a perfect week. It's also as impressive to go 0 for 4, which is what I did in my predictions. Just putting it out there.
Now, I did go on the record saying that game would be tougher for the Bengals. I did not think they would lose.
Well, we'll be talking about that soon. Bengals Steel says that nothing always trips me out. Bengals Steel always trips me out. Sonny,
As they should.
time to say that Q is right. That Rowe is bad. Roquan wasn't bad. Roquan was not great in the first quarter. After the first quarter, he actually played good. He intercepted.
I think he had 4 tackles, right?
He intercepted Pat Mahomes.
No, you know that interception saved him from a huge monologue that was gonna happen.
Disclaimer. Was that not a duck though?
I mean, look, he caught it.
It wasn't great.
He caught it. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying right place, wrong time. I'm not saying that you know.
If you're asking me, did Roquan Smith do something that people are going to give him too much credit for? I mean, that's his whole career. But yeah, like yes, it's been his whole career. But this ain't the week to push the narrative. We'll let Roquan have this week. There will be other weeks, Roquan haters.
Look.
You know, there will be other weeks Roquan gives us material. Trust me, we don't got to be thirsty on this one. He had a good.
I don't know. The PFF score is a 29.4.
Hey, they finally grading them properly because they used to give games like this like an 80 for Roquan. I just be saying like, what did they watch?
I don't know the grade for Simpson, but eventually, because I said that Malik Harrison was getting.
It's Simpson's grade is better than Roquan's.
Yeah,
by about 20 points.
I was gonna say when he played, I was like, he played. He actually was decent. Like again, Zach Ward. I don't know why Malik Harrison has been in this team forever, but this is not a seniority thing. He's a backup. He is the backup.
Hey, what Roquan Smith look like without a Gucci belt? LJ Ford.
Okay. 188 says this group laugh at Arthur Smith, but Sonny, yeah, boy, Tom Monking is under the watch too. The film study by other DCs is different.
Okay, no, stop.
Let me say something.
Okay, no.
The 188. Are you saying
This is
that the Ravens play against the Kansas City Chiefs defense and Atlanta Falcons defense are comparable, and that those offenses play the same against those two? I know the outcome was different.
We don't even have to take this seriously because the Ravens scored more points than the Steelers did.
Touchdown.
They scored more than one touchdown. The Steelers are excited off of a field goal. They played the same game. We'll get to it.
We did what Baltimore was supposed to do. So it really points don't matter unless
y'all did what Pittsburgh did last year, but with Justin Fields out there, and then I'm hearing about it like it's this some kind of offensive revolution.
Yeah,
they scored 15 points.
I
watched it.
We're gonna clear that up. We're gonna clear that up.
Well, then you're gonna tell me, oh man, they were driving though. When they kick the field goal and getting off the field on third down. Like, is this not the same squad? Okay, you know what, J-Rock, you're right. It is not the same team they were last year when Kenny Pickett was in. That's even true. Though you can make the argument it's not that different. But, it looks like it did when, like, Ben was on his last legs and he was getting down the field. He was getting field goals. Mm-hmm. You still weren't scoring more than 20 points in a game. True.
We still had an issue with red zone. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And hey, look, I think Arthur Smith's a good offensive coordinator. I've turned around on that even before this game started. So you
did say that.
Yep. So I thought that this would turn around, but this kind of still looks like the same Steelers offense. Like, are we gonna? Is the Atlanta Falcons? And if we want to talk about how Atlanta played in that game, I mean,
we'll talk about that game. We'll talk about that game. We're gonna talk about that game soon.
We should probably talk about Cleveland next.
Is he a special teams coach? Is they coordinator or a special teams coach? Because that's what that offense kind of look like. I'm just saying.
Who?
Arthur Smith. Is he a special teams coach?
The 188 here says didn't say they will win, said it will be tough. So he said the same thing.
And you out here trying to dunk on me after you said what I
But
said.
here's my thing. Like I don't like people can take their victory laps and all of that. We recorded this show before T. Higgins was announced out, right? Correct? Just making sure. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest though.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to change my opinion. I thought the Bengals would have won.
Yeah, I definitely thought we would have won for sure.
So Bengals
I'm about to be like, oh, if I knew, I would have been right because I'm not a phony. Okay, I'm here lying. Like,
Bengals still says Roquan had a 29.4 PFF grade, one of the lowest, which is what
Roquan lucky I don't like PFF grades. Like, I'm not about to abandon my principle just to dunk on Roquan Smith.
What game you guys want to do next?
Let's do Cleveland.
Let's do Cleveland. Let's do Cleveland.
No, let's do the Bengals. Let's do the Bengals.
Hold on, I need to talk about this because a lot of people are assuming I'm with. Let's talk about Cleveland.
Okay, let's do Cleveland. Let's do it.
Actually, I'll give you the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen from Cleveland side. It was bad. A 9 QBR, a 9.7.
I never seen that low.
Yeah, you know who had a higher one? Bryce Young.
Ooh,
Bryce Young. Daniel Jones had a 12.
Dang.
They telling me right now we put Daniel Jones in last week. That'd be 60% improvement. It was, nobody anticipated he would be that bad. Even if you thought Watson was cooked in cheeks, nobody is anticipating he throw 42 passes and still be under 170 yards passing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He looked dysfunctional out there. He looked like a guy whose mind is nowhere near football. Like, if he has another game like that, he has to take a sabbatical and Jameis has to play. And if he comes back from that sabbatical or not, I don't care. Because you can't drop a 9 QBR and just think shit gonna be cool and breezy once you come back. A 9? Tell me what quarterback that's excusable for. No. Like, what's y'all backup ace in Cincinnati?
Jake Browner.
Jake Browner throw a 9 QBR. You about to see what your third string on.
Yep.
If Josh Johnson throw a 9 QBR, you about to see what's up with the practice squad.
Yep.
Hey, when Justin Fields or Russell Wilson throws a 9 QBR, you about to be ready to put the other one in, ain't it?
Yep.
Like that's insane.
The third string got Kyle Allen.
The only reason he's getting another game is because he has all of this shit that we done invested in him. If this were a normal quarterback, he would be benched.
Yeah.
He would be benched. This is insane. And you know what? It's not just the one game. I know Browns fans have been telling me it's been one game, man. It's just week one. Hey, if he would have had a normal bad game and went out there and played like Justin Fields or something like that and had a 40 QBR, okay, whatever. It wasn't great. It wasn't great, but it's week one. He's learning a new offense. They're playing together. Okay, I can excuse that. But a 9? You can't be better than Bryce Young? In any situation, you got to be better than Bryce Young and Daniel Jones. I don't care. You a 3-time Pro Bowler. There's no world where I can sit here and excuse you being worse than I would expect Kenny Pickett to be if he started. Like, that's just not there. I talk a lot about other teams' quarterbacks, but I keep it real about mine. That's inexcusable. He did not show that level of bad play consistently last year. This is alarming. He's had 3 games like this. The first time it happened, we were willing to write it off. 700-day delay, first game back. He's playing in Houston. What a weird game. And that was a 22. Oh, no, my bad. A 29 QBR game, by the way. He put up a 29 in that game.
I've never seen a 9, to be honest.
Yeah. Last year in Pittsburgh, weirdest game we've ever seen. Nick Chubb gets his knee destroyed halfway through. It was just a weird game. Okay, he's got to play better than that going forward. That was a 15.9 QBR. Now we talking about a 9? Hey, if he does not have, and I am being dead serious with this, if he does not have an improvement that is mind-blowing, like we got to look back at week one and think to ourselves, it is shocking he played that bad. If it's anything other than shocking, if it's just normal, If it's a slight improvement from week 1 to week 2, I need him to be so good in week 2 that we can't believe week 1 happened. If it's anything short of that, prepare. It's time to start wrapping it up. Pay out whatever you got to pay out. Sit out whatever you got to sit out. Work around it however you got to work around it. It's a wrap. Because a 9 QBR, that can't be on the table for a team trying to win a championship. A 9 QBR cannot be on the table. We cannot be sitting here like, man, if something goes wrong in Deshaun's life, he could turn into worse than Bryce Young. There's no world where that's acceptable. I know he had some things going on in his personal life, but I don't think it is what it is, bro. You at work. We all got stuff. We all go through stuff. If we did the equivalent of put together a 9 QBR 2 weeks in a row at work, God, we looking for another job.
Yep.
A 9? Abysmal. Now, here's another thing I want to address. Was it just Deshaun Watson? Oh, no. Absolutely. It was not just Deshaun Watson. Was Deshaun Watson the most egregious and worst part of that game? Sure. But boy, the offensive line didn't help things. The wide receivers didn't help things. I thought Kevin Stefanski had his worst game as a play caller. And I thought Ken Dorsey. What was this game plan? Why are we throwing screens on 3rd and 10? We've never done that before. We're doing that now. Is that what you're bringing to the table? It just looked dysfunctional. The quarterback looked dysfunctional. The offense looked dysfunctional. The head coach looked dysfunctional. And we know that at least the head coach is above being dysfunctional. So what's going on? What's going on? We can't run the passes. We can't catch balls that are underneath. I'm worried. Did Amari Cooper lose a step? It looked like it.
He dropped that ball. He
didn't drop it. He couldn't run under it. That's more concerning.
Okay.
You got to gear up and get underneath that ball.
Yeah.
We see Jamar Chase do it, and Jamar Chase is significantly younger. But hell, Tyler Boyd does that. And Tyler Boyd ain't never been fast. This is not acceptable. Nothing about this is acceptable. Like, no way you split it up. This was an embarrassing performance by the Cleveland Browns offense. They should be embarrassed of themselves. Now, the defense did everything they could to try to keep that game close in the 3rd quarter. Right? They gave up 2 touchdown drives. Not really a big deal. The one CD Lamb and Dak connect on a great pass and catch. Like, the coverage couldn't have been better. Okay, the 2nd drive, Dallas gets some stuff downfield. They get a 14-play drive. Okay, cool. Nothing else happens for the rest of the game. So the defense tried to keep you in it. Like, there was that point where the Browns had a decent drive. Deshaun stayed in the pocket. He looked like a functional NFL quarterback. I wouldn't say good. He still missed some stuff. Looked functional. They scored a touchdown. Then after that, we got 1 first down and 4 drives. I think that first down was for a penalty. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. If you want to call Deshaun Watson the worst quarterback in the AFC North, sure. It's kind. QBR says he was the worst quarterback that played Sunday and Monday and Thursday. Amongst the worst by a significant margin. We're not even talking about comparing him to Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. We're not even talking about comparing him to Justin Fields. This was so much worse than I expected him to put up that it changes the timeline for me. If he drops one that's even remotely reminiscent to this in the next few weeks or this week, he's got to go. Like, you got to move on. Like, see what's up with Jameis at that point. You got to consider it because I don't want to wait till week 8 to make that decision. And then you're playing Baltimore and then you're playing Pittsburgh. So if this is what Deshaun Watson's going to be this year, if he's too distracted with all his outside cases, if he's too distracted with everything else going on in his life that he cannot put together a functional football game, he has to go. It's not helping anybody. A 9 QBR? I mean, forget about even trying to act like that's like that. A 9. Has anybody in the history of the NFL ever won a game with a single-digit QBR start?
I don't remember last time I saw a single-digit QBR.
And he only threw 2 interceptions. This is how bad it was. You know how you. And I'm only saying only because usually when you have a single-digit QBR, it's because you threw like 12 of them things. Like you went full 4 interception 5 to get a 12 QBR, and all you did was throw check downs and 2 interceptions that were off tip balls, and you're there. Dog, come on. And it's bugging me too that there's some Browns fans that are just used to this now. We're just like, oh no, this is Deshaun's annual horrible game that he put together. What the f- is that? What is that? Like
He has one.
he gives us a stinker every year. We can't do that. What?
Oh man, that was good.
Like it's just it's beyond the pale. I said it last year when he did this against Pittsburgh, and you guys were all witness. He can't have another game like that. He had a worse game in perfect weather with nothing else going on. And like the defense is tough. Dallas's defense is tough. I don't think Dallas has a better defense than Baltimore. Like, I don't think they have a better defense than Pittsburgh. Like, you have to see Minka at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And Minka looking like Minka again. And we supposed to go in there with that? Hey, man, I don't care what happened that resulted in a 9 QBR. It can't happen. It shouldn't happen. And the fact that I'm used to it happening is enough. And the only reason I'm willing to be like, hey, man, see what he does week 2 is because I ain't got no other choice. Right?
Yep.
Got to kind of see it out what happens week 2. Can't bench a $230 million quarterback off the strength of one game. But you know what? 2 games like that? Yeah, you can. You can do it. Nobody's going to care. And honestly, let's talk about the environment in the stadium. It's getting untenable. They hate him.
Oh, do they?
They boo him. 3rd drive of the game, he's getting booed. When is this? How is this going to be successful? The fans at home boo him. He turns a home field advantage, one of the best ones in the AFC, into a negative because he's going to get booed. I'm thankful they're on the road this week, Ace, because at least if they get booed, it's going to be for other reasons because they winning. Like, it's a better environment for them to be on the road because everybody's so fed up with them. It's over with. Right now, we holding on to the slimmest margin of hope that this is going to work out. I said it. He could not have another game like that after the Pittsburgh one. He had a worse game. We can hold on to this and hope he puts a streak together and becomes a dude that's from 2020 or even something close to that. But come on, dog. This looked like Carson Wentz once he got cooked. And honestly, Carson Wentz put together a better season than this. This is done. We just waiting for it. We just waiting for the funeral at this point. Like, it's done for it. It ain't working. It did not work out. People can say whatever they want about the trade. Is it the worst quarterback trade? It doesn't matter. It's not worth making a distinction anymore. It's bad. It's done. You got to start thinking about moving on. It can't be just a small consideration. You got to be really putting together plan B right now, because another game like that and plan B could be in week 3.
And one thing I haven't got from the Browns GM, which is a guy that I respect a lot. I think he has put, if you think about our ranking in the offseason, the Browns consistently were 1 or 2 in most positions, right? In most position groups, we were talking about the Browns being 1 and 2. Saying that, if there has been concern for Deshaun Watson, right? And I'm assuming the team keeps very close tabs on him because of what happened in the past. Why is Deshaun Watson the guy that always gets picked for restructure when all his deals guarantee? And the reason I'm saying that is, in a different scenario, right now you cannot even do what the Broncos did with
Well, there's a reason for that though, son. You want me to explain it?
Sure, go ahead.
So since the salary cap goes up every year, when you restructure that money, you just make it less of a percentage of the cap. So even if you're going to treat it like a giant dead cap hit, like the Denver Broncos did, it benefits you long term to have as much as that money down the line, because it's like having a credit card with reverse interest. So you get plus 7% on the salary cap hit every year you kick it down the line, so that it ends up hitting your cap less over time than it would if you just paid it straight up. So you deal with it longer. It costs more cash for Jimmy Haslam. But if we're talking about this purely from where we care about it, a salary cap standpoint, there's nothing but benefits from doing that. And even if they moved on from him tomorrow and cut him tomorrow and like kept him on the team or something like that, they would work restructures out to move that money down, because that makes the percentage of the hit much lower than it would. Because what, $40 million now a year is so much less than what it was in 2021. And that's something that the Eagles are doing. That's something that a lot of people are doing to move it down the line.
I guess the only thing that concerns me, or maybe I don't understand right, like if you guys decide to cut Deshaun Watson this year, right? Let's say, boom, we're done, cut him. My understanding about cutting a player is all the debt money, all that restructure now, instead of being pushed through years, it goes effective year one. Unless you do like a post June 1, then you split it into 2 years. But that's the most you can do it. And Deshaun Watson has a hell of a lot of cap space. Right? Like I was checking here. If it was this year, which I doubt they could.
If they did what Dallas did, they would have to do stuff like move Myles Garrett and get rid of some of the guys they signed a contract. If they do what they do now, they can keep all of their guys under contract and just maneuver around what would be like 10% of the cap. So that part, the contract part, even if like he gets suspended again and the contract gets nulled, that's going to take years in court. I don't really care about the salary cap implications of this. The Browns have already navigated that quite fine, and they'll continue to navigate that fine. This is just about this season right now. Like, you can't live with this level of quarterback play. And I know some people are going to act like he's been playing this bad the whole time in Cleveland. That's not been the case. But if you put together 3 games like that, that's too much.
Okay, saying that, the only thing, because I agree with everything you said, I was shocked because I picked the Browns. Right? I think everybody picked the Browns here.
Everybody picked the Browns. Yep, we all did. Plain sweet.
I was surprised. Like, I was expecting this. Like, if the Browns lost, I was expecting it to be like the Baltimore Chiefs game, right? Like a game that was just back and forth, competitive. The Chiefs looked like better than us in that game, right? So if Dallas would have won, I would expect Dallas to look a little bit better than the Browns. But it looked like two teams looking in different directions, right? Yes, the tackles didn't help. By the way, all three games that lost, those trenches were key on offense. And we'll talk about the Bengals later. We talk about Baltimore. The bookend tackles for the Browns were non-existent either. And yeah, Deshaun Watson. Look, I don't know what to tell you. I thought when
that looked nothing like the dude we saw in Baltimore last year, right?
No. The guy in Baltimore, he balled out against us in that second half. Because he started rough, but then something clicked and he was just throwing darts.
Even in that first half where he wasn't playing well, he didn't look as bad as that.
No, he didn't look. He wasn't awful. He was not look like the second half dude. He looked like normal quarterback, right? And then the second half dude looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback. And then he got injured, and right, we don't have to revisit that. I don't like it. I know, stuff in the room. There's stuff happening outside his life, like you said, Q, that can affect him. But also, as you said, but the other thing that I didn't understand, and you alluded to, Q, is the coach. If you as a coach see, okay, this is happening, and you have a competent backup in Jameis, right? Like, he's competent. I'm not saying he's a pro, but he's definitely competent. He can push the ball down. And Cleveland is also predicated on the run game. Pull him out. Why not pull him out? Just say, like, your mind is not in the game. You'll be starting next week. Don't worry about it. But the backup will give us a better chance, right? I think Stefanski also did not do a good job as a coach. I agree with you. Not on the play calling, not on the leadership portion either, because he should have taken the rails and said, okay, you're not focused, you're not in it, your mind's not in this game. Let's move you out. Let's put the next guy. Let's just see how it goes. Like you said, I can't remember who you guys play next, but it is definitely
Jacksonville.
You need to bounce back, right? Jacksonville also had a loss, so you need to bounce back. Both teams looking to get that first win. So we'll see. Ace, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, there's a lot, man. A lot of numbers. Q kind of mentioned the 9 QBR. You look at the EPA, negative 22.
Yeah.
-22. That was crazy. One of the things, so like after we made the show prediction, I kind of talked about that game, and somebody was like, "Oh, you just think the Cowboys are the underdog." And I will say there were some things that I did overlook. Like from one standpoint, I didn't know the dire straits that the Browns offensive line was in. And I'm like, they do have Micah Parsons. Like, I guess I kind of downplayed that part of it from like the trenches standpoint. But to see after that this team, the offensive line, surrendered a quarterback pressure rate of 44.6%. They let them get 6 sacks against them. This reminded me of the Bengals offensive line from like when Joe Burrow first started. Like, and I can't believe that I'm saying that about the Cleveland Browns, who were pretty much the best offensive line unit in the league for the last couple of seasons. Like, I know that they ended up losing Callahan, but dog, that was nasty at some points when I saw it. Obviously, they got to get healthy there. But there was one play that I remember that stuck out to me was, I think DeJuan Jones. I don't know if DeJuan Jones got beat. Somebody got beat. DeJuan Jones was right there. He tried to help Deshaun Watson off of the ground. Deshaun didn't even dap him up, or even pay attention to him. Then DeJuan like looks at him and he's just like, whatever. And I'm like,
that was Joel, but Joel can't get up like that because he's had so many years. So that's why that's something Joel and Joe Thomas have done plenty of times. That was
So when I saw it, I was like, man, but the Deshaun Watson situation, it just has not lived up to the hype that it was supposed to be. And I think that for it to be week 1, like I feel like we all went into this season like, all right, this is the year, this is the last excuse we're gonna see. But for him to come out week 1 and play like this is just, I don't even know where you go from that, dog. Like, I don't know what you end up doing. I mean, it kind of was weird already because you had, some of the fan base that wanted to keep Flacco, and I think rightfully so. They felt like they saw, some more stability there when he was there. Now you get this situation, and it's kind of like Q says, it's a bad situation to be in. Anytime that he's going to make a play or something, or doesn't make a play, there's going to be like, damn, we paid $200 and something million for this guy. You got to show up, dog. At the end of the day, like, you got to show up. Then you kind of get more of this stuff in the media, and you start to think like, is this worth it? And I think that's been the biggest distraction. Is Deshaun has been the biggest distraction with this team. It seems like when Deshaun isn't there, the team seems to play better. The team seems to be a better team without Deshaun Watson. Like when we saw them with Jacoby Brissett, they were able to win games. We saw them with Flacco last year. They were able to win games. They were able to do their thing and kind of not have to focus or have energy taken from them that is going into the Deshaun Watson situation. So I didn't expect this, bro. Like, I expected this to be a competitive game. I know Mike Zimmer is a great defensive coordinator, but I can't give him all of the props for this one. Deshaun Watson was just not good. Alex Van Pelt, and then you also got Ken Dorsey. I understand that they weren't calling plays, but it did not seem like, they were able to inspire any kind of confidence in this team from an offensive standpoint. You did get to see, I think I saw a touchdown from what's the guy that came over from the Broncos?
Oh, Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy. He was able to do some things, but it was tough, man. I mean, this is a great defense, but they couldn't even get that on display because the offense just helped the Cowboys defense out so many times. To me, I think, like, I don't want to say that you're at the crossroads week 1, but you got to be thinking about it. Like, if he goes out, like he was saying, and has another bad performance like that,
you got to consider it.
At the end of the day, even if he comes out and has a mediocre season, you're still thinking of moving on from this guy. And I know, because I was one of the guys that talked about this guy, but I know Browns fans, because when I looked at who led in EPA, and I saw Baker Mayfield up there, I know it's some Baker believers in the crowd that was like, I told y'all.
Have you heard the Baker crowd?
Huh?
Have you been hearing the Baker crowd?
I don't know. I've checked out of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, you get numb to that stuff because I know where he's coming from with that because of the Andy Dalton stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. He had 4 touchdowns, 200-some yards. That's just adding insult to the injury because it's like, man, like, okay.
And we saw Jacoby Brissett beat the Bengals.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that happened too. Jacoby might be better than Deshaun too. I mean, I'm just saying it looks like that at this point. But the Deshaun Watson situation, the good thing for the Browns is you have some capable backups. Now you did let one of them, who was an undercover spy, go back to Baltimore with that offense, but they don't even need that. What they just saw on Sunday, I don't think they even need that anymore unless they plan on changing it up. But
Sonny,
I
you
think
remember that? You remember the game DTR had week 4 against y'all?
Yeah.
24 QBR.
That
Oh
gives you
man,
for
yeah, that a -QBR is nasty. A negative
24.
22 EPA is nasty.
Mm.
I mean, coming from a team where Joe Burrow had probably, in my opinion, one of the worst games that I've ever seen him have, for that to still be like 48 points better, like I don't understand. Like I'm pissed about my quarterback, so I can't even imagine what
That's what I'm
Cleveland is
saying.
thinking about right now. Like
If this were a normal
like,
bad game, I'd be like, all right.
this is a historically bad football game. So
I know people want to act like he's been playing like this the whole time. That's just not been the case. He ain't been.
he hasn't been this
QBR
bad. He hasn't been this bad. He hasn't been
It's
like
been under expectation, but it hasn't been to this level.
yeah.
And
It hasn't been
that the
Deshaun
worst game is
2020.
happening in year 3 when he had a full game.
Hasn't been Deshaun 2020 that we have come to expect from him. I don't know if that man's coming back through that door anymore. Cleveland, I think right now you're just going to see what happens week 2, but you do need to seriously consider, all right, we might need to see what Jameis has, which that's not a bad position to be in. That's why you went out and made that room a lot deeper in terms of the depth. That's why you drafted a DTR, because you kind of got some guys that can come in there and still win with the team that has a really good defense, has weapons on offense. Offensive line, though, I'm looking at the offensive line as well. We'll see what they do next week against the Jags, because Cowboys are a good defense. Mike Zimmer, I didn't even know Zim was a coordinator over there now. So good performance by them.
Russ back in
Yeah, that's not how you want to start the season off.
Man, not to I guess kind of reiterate everything everybody said, but bad performance by Deshaun Watson, man. I just really want to kind of question, is this what we waited all preseason to see? He sat it out all preseason, for I guess risk of injury, and then come back, first week and then have an allegation. Which is why I don't want to get into too much speculation, because that's a personal life, but people choose to put it out there, and I'm not going to sit here and say that is a tripping reason why he's not playing as good. But with that being said, he looked frantic. He made some bad passes. Like you mentioned, he had 2 interceptions. I think that what also didn't help Cleveland was the fumbles. I think they had one on special teams as well. So when like I said, you lose it. The Browns. I think they didn't have one
special teams touchdown on the punt return.
Okay. But it like I said, it's a turnover battle. You lose the turnover battle, you lose possessions of the ball, you lose the opportunity to score. So I mean, your chances to go down, and with you not playing up to $230 million, I guess now at this point would be the second highest paid QB in the league. No, the third. I don't know. We get those numbers later. But with that being said, you're up there. So with that being said, you had high expectations to come in and win the game and to lead your team. I mean, he had some nice passes. I'm not going to say completely down on me. I think he had a good pass to Njoku. He had a good pass to Cooper down the field. And I just wish that, he would have had a better showing than this. I really don't, but I do. Just for his sake, So I just don't think defensively they could also stop Dallas either. Dallas didn't have overwhelming numbers, but they was able to convert. Ezekiel Elliott ran not good, but he ran efficient to for them to continue to move in the ball and do what they needed to do. And I think Dak also made some of the passes as well. I wish, for Q's sake, Cleveland had an answer for a backup for Nick Chubb. But Jerome Ford, he did decent. I don't think he got the only the touchdown in garbage time for him, but which really wouldn't have mattered. But I just wish they had a contribution to kind of supplement Deshaun Watson because he's struggling up there.
Well, they threw it 45 times. Like,
yeah, I'm about to say, in the O-line
threw the ball way too much.
The O-line helped. The O-line didn't help either. So I think he was getting hit too many times. I think that they didn't have the solid run game. I think he played a little bit frantic. And I mean, defensively, they did not do what we expect Cleveland to do.
Okay, we have some super chats here. Let's go through them. The 188 says Q. Also say Arthur Smith, Canada were the same.
I'm gonna just be
Arthur
honest.
Smith
I'm gonna just be
upgrade from Matt Canada, but the results
he did say that.
Yeah,
he did.
The results are fairly going to be similar. And what were these results? Were they not similar? Did Pittsburgh score?
No. Q. Hold on. Here's the difference, Q. Here's the difference, Q. Instead of scoring 17 points, they scored 18 points.
There you go. That's the improvement that we like to see. 1 point.
Okay. Exactly.
And the 188 is a Q. Talks like Deshaun. It's just now been bad. When he has been bad, whenever he's been healthy. The delusion is strong in Cleveland.
I know there's a reading epidemic in America right now where people don't know how to read. But damn, we can't listen either, because if that's what you got from what I'm saying, then you're not even listening. You're just typing your super chat in so you could try to get a little dunk on, and then reacting to shit that ain't nobody said.
He's fighting with ghosts.
Bro, we need to invest in our public schools.
The 188 was like, hey, the Cowboys took him my pick and cuss of QB.
Pick him. Ooh.
And then the one.
I mean, I can't say that because somebody talked to me and they took a friend at my son's training. I think he actually was a Chiefs fan. I think he took the Bengals for his pick'em league week 1. So I can't.
I took Atlanta.
Ooh.
Q.
He's like Atlanta?
Yeah.
Something I'm about to tell you. I gave you sufficient warning about what happened in that game.
You told me never.
By the way, the 188, are you going to acknowledge that I was 100% right about what was going to happen in that Steelers Atlanta Falcons game, by the way? Like, are any of the Steeler fans who are like calling me wrong about all this stuff going to acknowledge that I was 100% right about what happened in that game?
Yeah, he picked up.
He was right. Q was right. He said that was a timely game.
1,000,000%. Exactly.
I gotta give him his props for that one.
Hulk here says beat. Yep. And for a battery replacement, Sword Graves. Okay.
Like need a CR 2030-22 or something like. Was it CR 2032? Or is it a D battery? Because some of those smoke detectors use the D battery.
Mine used to be battery. And then Mr. Influenza with the 2 pounds straight for the British.
They send the pounds.
Turn off that beeping tripping. Okay. So that being said, let's hear, by the way, before we keep going from our sponsors, and we'll take it from the other side.
What's up, everybody? Chris here from Chris Gates Fitness and the online fitness training camp. I would love to see you in training camp this month. We have the August program, which just launched. Everybody's diving into it and having a blast doing some football-specific exercises. We have football pick'em coming at the end of this month, where I'm going to be giving away free supplements to winners. We're doing a step count challenge in September. Going to be giving away a treadmill for that. So there's lots of fun stuff coming. AFC North podcast has a discount code. Make sure you hit the link, head over to the website, sign up, and I will see you in training camp.
And the description's in the link is in the description below, and all the details. Go check it out. Great workouts. Go check him out. Good guy. Only problem is a Steelers fan, but other than that,
I'm about to tell y'all pay attention, man. He got some nice stuff in the background. Look kind of like this.
Victor Pate here says, who wins the NFL Fleece Award, Watson or Wilson?
Well, like the Texans are probably going to be the better team than Seattle, so they're going to be seen as the winner.
And then Bodyguard. Ace man, I hit everything in my parlay, but then God dang Bengals. What the hell and why?
Feel your pain, brother. That them parlays. One time that happened to me, and it was even more of a short thing. It was the Eagles and the Cardinals, bro, and I was in Vegas. And I was in line. I felt so good about it. I was in line, ready to cash out.
Spending that money.
Ready to cash out.
You already put that money in your mind.
They ended up losing to the Cardinals, dog. They lost to the Cardinals, dog.
Hey, never bet against the meat man.
Okay, so let's talk about these Bengals, because if anything surprised me, Ace, was the Bengals. And when I saw T. Higgins was out, I think either Saturday or early Sunday morning, I was like, okay. It didn't face me. As an outsider, I was like, yeah, but who do the Patriots have? I cannot name you his weapons.
I still can't name the receivers. Exactly.
Nobody. They had the tight end that used to play for the Chargers that has never been as good as people think.
They had Austin Hooper, dog. Austin Hooper was making some catches out there. Austin Hooper.
And even on their defense, right? Even on their defense, they lost that. Judon. They are not the same defense that they were.
No Barmore.
Right? Like who
Sonny
plays this Patriots team?
See, y'all didn't know any of them players, but I did because they all used to play for the Cleveland.
Well, yeah, that's true. There's the Browns.
That was the one factor. I was like, I don't know, it's too many Browns over there.
That is true. And we have the same thing with the Chargers right now over there in LA. Mm-hmm. But so when I saw T. Higgins not playing, I'm like, so what? A healthy Burrow, healthy Lamar Chase, right? Or Jamar Chase, sorry. O-line is healthy right now. Mm-hmm. Defense, everybody's healthy. The one thing is that as I watch this game, again, trenches. Now, I'm not saying that the O-line was atrocious, but that D-line, they were running all over you guys. And then on the flip side, I think we underestimate. I think in the offseason we said, well, the Bengals are just going to be a throwing team. They're just going to be a throwing team. That's what they're going to do. That's their identity. And I said last year during the year that the best Bengals team was when they decided to run mixing a little bit, right? And they were somehow balanced, and then that way they can take some of the action, right? But
Mason looked pretty good this weekend. Huh?
He looked amazing.
He looked pretty good on another team, huh? With no Zach Taylor, huh?
Amazing. But
he looked like a different man out there running. I saw one clip. I was like, God damn, that's Joe Mixon.
You look happy.
He looked like this the whole time. He had
the shackles have been taken off.
5.9 to carry. I was like, he missed the 4.1 yards to carry. I was out here just saying they ain't gonna work. Joe Mixon got out there looking like Nick Chubb. I'm like, damn,
that's
what was going on?
And not the play.
Like that. I tried to tell y'all for a year. I'm like, Joe Mixon kind of being held back a little bit. But go ahead, Sonny. Continue.
The last point so I can throw it to you is when we in any game plan, usually a defensive coordinator looks at a team and says like, what element I can take from this team to make it a one-dimensional team? Because if I can make this team a one-dimensional team, now I can defend better because I know where they're coming, right? I can just, if they're just going to pass, I can just play passing game. I can rush the pass. I need to worry about this rushing attack really killing me. Mm-hmm. And the Bengals purposely has said to the whole league, like, I'm going to do you a favor. That's what we're going to do. Don't worry about a running game. So, but even with all that, losing to the Patriots is kind of crazy. So, how are you feeling, man? I know Bengals fans were just going crazy on Twitter.
I mean, obviously frustrated. So let me back a few things up. I don't care about adding context for L's. A L is a L. Bengals lost. They shouldn't have lost this game. Patriots were the better team. They outcoached them. The weird part about this game is when we were here on Wednesday, Jamar Chase still was kind of up in the air, right? And it looked like it was trending towards him playing. He was practicing, right?
Yep.
Then we get to I think it's Thursday. He's no longer practicing again. Friday, he's like, I'm going to be a game time decision. It starts to get weird. T. Higgins is out. The day before, T. Higgins was like, I'm in the best shape of my life. He's out. And I'm like, okay, does this have to do with gripes with the front office? Like, what's going on here? So at that point, we're not knowing whether or not it's just going to be Trenton Irwin, Yoshi, like Jermaine Burton, like the I don't know, the Migos that we didn't even expect, right? Mm-hmm. So all the way up into the game, nobody knew if Jamar Chase was playing or not. Like we were like, okay, he might play, he might not. It's seeming like this contract thing is a thing. Then he comes out, but the vibes were just weird. It's like, all right, no T, who's practiced the entire week, so they They didn't have time to kind of change the game plan. That's still not an excuse. But it was a weird kind of start to the game, right? If you would have told me coming into the season which unit, even with T. Higgins out, even with the Jamar Chase situation, because I think if Jamar Chase just shows up street clothes before the game like he did, he's going to do his thing. It's Jamar Chase. You could have told me which unit I would be more worried about between the offense and the defense. I would have told you the offense. I mean, I would have told you the defense, right? Yeah. Because this is a situation, like I've said, I gave Ramondre Stevenson his credit. Patriots didn't do anything that was mind-blowing. They did exactly what I said that they would do. They would come in, they would try to establish the run, they would play really good defense because, and I said it on the show, Gerard Mayo is a defensive guy. He's going to be able to do some things against the Bengals defense. The craziest thing is he just did what everybody does against the Bengals defense. I'm just going to run 2 high shell, and Zach Taylor's not going to run the ball. We're just going to put pretty much all of the attention on Jamar Chase. But the thing that was shocking to me in this game, defense didn't really play that bad. The defense missed a lot of tackles. Mm-hmm. Defense missed 14 tackles. That is what hurt the most. They had Ramondre Stevenson dead to rights in the backfield. They let him go. It's another 14, 20 yards. It's like every single time that they had a chance to make a play in terms of one to try to stop the bleeding, they were able to rip it off, or somebody missed a tackle or something happened here and there. Now, I get that. I still don't feel like the defense is what lost them the game. The offense and Joe Burrow is what lost them the game. And I always talk about Joe Shiesty. He's the guy. He's supposed to elevate. I don't know where he was at in this game because there were times where Jamar Chase was stacking guys and he's just not taking the shot. He's not even looking at him. He's not like he's seeing ghosts that aren't even there. His protection was solid. Like, you're going to look at a box score and see 3 sacks, but they settled in and he had pockets for days. So it wasn't like, I don't know if he's kids seeing ghosts, Kanye and Cuddy. Like, I don't know what's going on, Joe. But from my perspective, Joe didn't have his best game. Like, he turned into Andy Dalton. You see the cover 2 high shell. You're not even looking to see if Jamar Chase is even open. You're dumping it down to Zach Moss. And I'm just like, this is what we're doing. And from my perspective, just from an offensive philosophy, you guys know that I don't like Zach Taylor. So I'm going to give more blame to Joe for this. I still don't like what Zach Taylor and company and Dan Pitcher did in this game either, because we were sold this offseason after Joe Burrow went down. I know most people didn't watch the Bengals, but the offense kind of transformed. It was a lot more under center. It was a lot more play action. It was a lot less gun. It was a lot less empty. And we were told, hey, we're going to mix some of that stuff in now. Like, we know that we only run, empty with Burrow and all of that, but we're going to do some under center stuff. We're going to do some play action. They didn't do any of it, dog. They didn't do any of that. They barely did that.
Does it bother you more or less that they made the big show about this being different for the start of the season? Like, they really made that a point of emphasis. They
wanted, because they felt like, okay, in the past we struggled. Joe didn't play in the preseason. Bengals always start slow. That's the narrative. This time it's like Joe Burrow's playing in the preseason. We got what looks like a layup, and it's like Patriots week 1. Cool. It's not a Browns week 1. It's not a Ravens week 1, week 2. It's a Patriots week 1, a team that doesn't even know who his quarterback is right now. You lost to a guy in Jacoby Brissett who threw for 120 yards, dog. He didn't even he threw for 120 yards. And I'm not saying he's trash. Don't get me wrong. Jacoby Brissett did what he was supposed to do, especially with his legs. I was more impressed with his legs because there were third downs where he was able to pick them up because people just slept on Jacoby Brissett's legs. But I still can't tell you who some of the Patriots receivers are because I don't know them. The only person that I knew that entire day was Ramondre Stevenson. But the other thing that I would give them credit for, and I will say that was bad about our defense, which is what we typically say, there's no rush outside of Trey Hendrickson, dog. There is no rush outside of Trey Hendrickson. If he is not on the field, there is no rush. And for this to be a team on the other side of the ball that was starting Michael Jordan, literally the guy that got Joe Burrow hurt his rookie season, was missing some guys on that offensive line. I went into the game thinking we would have the advantage in the trenches. No, the Patriots completely controlled the trenches. You would have thought that this was a veteran offensive line out there, the way that the Bengals were not able to get any kind of pressure on them. The Bengals, to me, you can't come out as an offense and not score in the first half at all. I don't care about the fumbles. I know people are going to talk about, well, if, we didn't have the fumble or doesn't. Look, dog, turnover battle, it is a proven fact. When you lose the turnover battle, you lose the game 80% of the time. I don't want to hear about, oh, he should have held on to it. If we do that, we win this game. At the end of the day, you 0-1, dog. Nobody's going to remember that fumble. Nobody's going to remember it like, oh, Tanner Hudson had it and he fumbled. We might remember it. Nobody else is talking about that. That's not going to be in the highlights unless you're talking about for the Patriots defense. But at the end of the day, they got to make sure that they are prepared. This seemed like a game to me where y'all were looking at Kansas City. Y'all thought this was going to be a layup. You looking at week 2, Kansas City. All right, let's run through the motions. We got this. It's the Patriots. Let's look ahead to Kansas City. Now you're in a situation where Kansas City is knocking at your front door. They seem to be rolling after you just saw them against Baltimore. You cannot come out like you just did or else you're going to get blown out. I'm going to keep it a buck. Like, I know we get up for Kansas City, but if you come out like you just did this last game, they are going to kill you. So from my standpoint, supremely disappointed. Like, I would have taken the ugly W, but the biggest thing to me and why Zach Taylor needs to be on some kind of watch list right now was the decision with 3 minutes to go in the game, or slightly over 2 minutes to go in the game. You still had 3 timeouts, 2-minute warning, 4th down. I get it if you're in your own territory, but give Joe Burrow a chance on 4th down. You paid this man $200 and whatever million to punt the ball away. That's what we're doing with the game on the line. Like, Zach, that's the call. That's what we're doing. Like, Jamar Chase even ends up getting a penalty on the play because he doesn't want to go off the field. So we end up, because Jamar Chase didn't get on the field and we punted the ball, we get a penalty for that because we should have gone for it. Like, we didn't see anything all day for us to be like, you know what? Our offense looks so good. I'm going to trust them with no timeouts and all of that. I'm going to hope that our defense, who has not been tackling the whole game, and we know Ramondre Stevenson is getting the ball, we're going to trust that they're going to stop him. Then we're going to get the ball with no timeouts and know that we haven't taken any deep shots down the field except once to Yoshi, which drew a flag, by the way, Zach. So you might, even if they run cover 2 shell, you might still want to take some shots. But at the end of the day, bro, like, you're not trusting Joe Burrow. Like, the last time I remember this happening, 49ers game a couple of seasons ago, don't do it again. Like, what's the worst that could have happened? We still ended up losing. Fourth and like what, 3 or 4? Like, you don't think Joe Burrow can get that? If you don't think Joe Burrow can get that, then what are we even doing here? Like, what's the point of having Joe Burrow if you think that you still have Andy Dalton and you're still making Andy Dalton decisions? Because at the end of the day, I don't care how bad of a game Joe was having, you still got to give him that opportunity to try to do something. But as I said, this game to me is on Joe. A little bit of that blame goes to the staff. Missed tackling, because I'm not going to say defense, because it's a miracle that they only gave up 16 points given the circumstances of them fumbling and giving the ball right to the Patriots in the red zone. So to me, like, it's not on the defense. I can't go with that. We'll see what happens. Hopefully this Chase situation and this T situation isn't going to be more of a story than what's going on the field. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that was a nasty loss. You got to move on from that and just think about week 2.
Ace, did you just say T. Higgins said he was in the best shape of his life?
Yeah, he said something along those lines. I don't know if it was that exact words.
It's over, dog. That's Allen Robinson now. Like, don't sign him to that second contract, whoever it is. That man said, what? Cook.
Q, you can take what do you think about this game?
Yeah. It would concern me less if the Bengals hadn't made such a big deal out of like how they're gonna fix their slow starts and how they rectified all of these things that were the reasons they had these slow starts. It just proves to me that wasn't the reason they've been having these slow starts, and it points to what I feel like has been the obvious reason the Bengals have had these slow starts. The head coach. But Yeah, I mean, this kind of just confirmed that, right? You played in the preseason. Joe Burrow wasn't coming off something. There was no excuse to have a bad game. Y'all had an orange out. Y'all was wearing all, by the way, RIP, all orange jerseys. Y'all ain't never going back to them jaunts again. Like, can't go back to that. Y'all had the orange out. Everybody was excited. And then offensively, I would be concerned because the defense for the Bengals, they have similar problems that they had last year, but they weren't worse than they were last year, at least in the secondary, right? Like they were able to cover at least in the back end. Their issues were with tackling and stopping the run, which part of that was an issue last year with the loss of DJ Reader. My question with the Bengals has always been, what do they look like when the defense is not playing at a top 10 level like they were in 2021 and in 2022? Even with Joe Burrow. I know a lot of people want to attribute this to, oh, this is what Joe Burrow looks like without his wide receivers. I don't think that's the case. I think this is more about what the Bengals offense looks like when the defense does not give them a ton of possessions, when they cannot get the time of possession to sway in Cincinnati's direction. That's kind of what my concern is, because if the Bengals defense is not there, then yeah, this game is going to be a bigger problem for the Bengals going forward. Also, I mean, you do kind of got to get more than what was it, 16 points? Like that's all you the Patriots had 16 points.
Yep.
You expect Joe Burrow to be able to squeeze out 16 points.
Yep.
Even if he ain't got wide.
Especially that whole,
even if the pocket's muddy. Like the way people talk about Joe Burrow as a top 5 quarterback, hey, bro, you got to put up 20. You got to. Like, it's tough. I get it. But tough is the job. And for Joe to have a game like that where he throws the ball 29 times, 164 yards, and maybe this Patriots defense is a little bit better than people gave him credit for, I think that's fair. But, yeah, I think there's a bit of an issue here. And let's talk about the larger trend in the NFL that's going on. Joe Burrow wasn't the only one that threw for 164 yards this week. Jacoby Brissett was not the lowest passer in the NFL this week with 121. There were like 17 quarterbacks this week in week 1 that were under 200 yards. That's an amazing number compared to what we've been seeing. That means a lot of these guys are on pace for like less than 3,000 yards.
Yep.
It's not been the case. Ace referenced this a little bit. He's talking about the 2-high revolution, where people will sit in those 2-high shells. They will keep safeties over top, and they'll make you beat them with the run. Look at how San Francisco beat the New York Jets. They just ran at that 2-high shell, right? Mm-hmm. And my question is, if that's where the meta is going with the NFL, which it most certainly looks like, running the ball is back. Like, you need to run the football, which is why I'm not going to write off the Ravens getting much better than what they were, because if running the ball is going to matter, they do have Derrick Henry at the end of the day. We'll see if that offensive line allows Derrick Henry to be Derrick Henry, because that's the big concern there. But running the ball is back in a big way. And what we saw with Joe, it was just bad combination, right? Maybe it's just a bad combination of things. But what we saw with Joe Mixon looking like a new man in Houston, and then we see the Bengals rush game, and it wasn't bad. But it was the Bengals rush game. It was 70 yards. It was like under 4.5 a carry. It's been what it's been. And they're really hesitant to go to it, which is the bigger part. They had 16 rushes in a game that was 16-10. They ran the ball 16 times. You know how many times the Patriots ran the ball?
A lot.
25 alone with Ramondre Stevenson. If you just add Jacoby Brissett and Antonio Gibson, you get 14. That's almost equivalent to what the Bengals did, and that's including 4 Joe Burrow runs. We're talking about 12 carries for running backs. 12 carries
in a game that was close, not something,
not
where,
a blowout.
Not a blowout.
This shit was within like a score the whole time, and they ran the ball 12 times. You got to call it out for what it is. This is a pattern with Zach Taylor. It's been something, and it's ironic that Zach Taylor like went out running the ball in the Super Bowl. which is like, like the irony of that, right? With some JP rhyme, but that's the issue. You got nothing that indicated that you should have ran the ball that little. Zach Moss had 9 carries for 44 yards. It's 4.5. That's 4.9. It's good in a touchdown. There's nothing that indicates to the Bengals that they, like, if this were a case of them not being incentivized to run the ball, I would honestly be less concerned because I'm like, well, ain't nobody doing nothing with it. They can run the ball. They violently choose not to. Even in a game, like Ace mentioned, where it's 16-10, where the score was never more than 1 touchdown difference in the game, even in a game where you don't have your second best receiver.
And only gave Jamar 6 targets. 6.
Yeah, we gave what? ESC was the same amount of targets as Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Oof.
What is this? What? Look, the Bengals offense has been able to slide by with these weird quirks because they were winning.
Yeah.
And part of why they were winning, the defense would give them drive after drive. Hey, you don't got to worry. They ain't going to score. If this were like the 2021, 2022 Bengals defense, New England would have scored like 3 points. They would have won this game. It would have been ugly as hell, but they would have won it because they got that one drive. But when the defense ain't doing that no more, now we start looking at the offense and wondering, hey, what's going on here? Like, you got Joe Burrow, like you 10 points. I clown the Steelers for 18 points, right? But 10 points?
10 points is nasty.
10 points? Like, you got better wide receivers than with Jamar Chase and ESC. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me why this offense continues to show these spats of underperformance when they're as talented as this at the top end. It just can't happen. And again, if you're going to throw the ball that much, give it to Jamar. Why does Mike Gesicki got 4 targets?
They're trying to use the tight ends now.
Why are you trying? You don't run the ball.
Tight end by committee. No, Sonny. Tight end by committee. What the hell was Tanner Hudson even doing in the game?
They gave Tanner Hudson 3 targets. Mike Gesicki, they threw the ball to tight ends more than they threw the ball to Jamar Chase.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
That's going to be their game plan. I'm trying to tell you.
And Jay, right.
Have a run game.
Well, here's the thing, though. You don't really throw that much.
I'm not going to go as to say that they don't have a run game, but they didn't set up to have a run game.
Jay, right. This is the thing that infuriates me. You throw to your tight ends. What teams throw to their tight ends a lot? The Shanahan teams. The run team. J-Rock just raised his hand. He like, we throw to the tight ends a lot, right? What's the Steelers' whole philosophy? Dear God, hope we don't got to throw it. Right? That is the Steelers' number one philosophy. It's a run the ball system. So why are you throwing the ball this many times to your tight ends and you don't even run it? Like, you got 12 personnel out there for who? For what? Like, who do you think you're fooling with 12 You ran the ball 12 times. You almost threw the ball as much to these tight ends as you ran the football. That's just wild to me. And look, Cincinnati's going to be a good team. I think they're going to get 9-10 wins. Like, they're going to bounce back. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. They got Jamar Chase. We'll be looking at that, and people will be like, oh, we overreacted to week 1. But the thing you should not consider an overreaction is, hey, dog, why are you running? Why are these carries always something at some point during the season we look at and go, why are the Bengals doing that? Like, every year, multiple times a year, me and Ace look at these these carry numbers, and we forget that we got to subtract Joe Burrow from it. And then we like, dog, really? They ran the ball this little? Every year, multiple times a year. Ace, is this the first time we've had this conversation on this pod?
No, it sounds like a broken record.
Dog, we do this all the time.
It's like Mike Martz, dog. It's like Mike Martz in his last years.
And it's just, hey, you're going to get away with some of it because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are incredible football players, and they will have incredible games down the stretch. But when Joe Burrow's not having an incredible game, when Jamar Chase is not having an incredible game, you score 10 points. And that just can't be acceptable. Like, this is how teams who want to win in the playoffs lose games in the playoffs, because like if this is capable of happening, then it could happen. And then boom, one bad game from Joe Burrow, you can't survive it. The Bengals survived a bad game from Joe Burrow in both of those playoff, well, not both of them, but the 2021 playoff run where like he didn't get a great game from Joe Burrow, I believe in the Tennessee one, because of all the sacks that he had to take.
Yeah.
You got to be able to survive a game like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bengals don't look like a team that can survive a game like that right now. And that's the big concern with them when you look at their overall picture. Look, they're still going to win 10 games. I'm more confident about them than I am about like Cleveland at this point, because I'm just really concerned about what we got going at quarterback. But if I'm just looking at Cincinnati for what it was, yeah, man, these problems, like, it's just frustrating that these are the same problems the Bengals have been having since Zach Taylor got there. And it happens every year. We have the same conversations about the Bengals every year, about the same exact things with Zach Taylor. And it feels like nobody hears it.
J-Rock, what is your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man, I think just like the whole NFL, man, we was all completely shocked and surprised on how Cincinnati came out and played. They played pretty flat. They played pretty lethargic, and I mean, they didn't really seem like they had a sense of urgency. Like Ace was speaking to when it came to the defense, I think that they shot themselves in the foot by missing all the tackles. They let Ramondre Stevenson get 120 yards, and he pretty much did what he wanted to do out there. When it comes to New England, they controlled the line, and I think they bullied Cincinnati a lot when it comes to that front seven. So like I said, I was surprised about that. When it comes to Cincinnati's defense, I think that they let Jacoby Brissett look like a bona fide start out there. Like he, didn't have eye-popping numbers. But like you said, like Ace was saying, he got out there. He was using his legs. I mean, he was making the necessary passes that he needed to make to manage the game. And I think that's what he did very well, manage that game. While Ramondre Stevenson secured it. So again, when we speak about the potential and stuff like that, and what Cincinnati should have been setting themselves up for, hold on.
Okay.
My fault. Yeah, I think offensively, the way that they set themselves up, I think that they did not account for the run. They didn't try to, secure the balance in the offense that they needed. And I think that does, at the end of the day, that's going to hurt them. I think that if they're going to rely on Joe Burrow's arm all season, it's going to be a long one, man. And contrary to what Ace was speaking on, I definitely think that the turnovers hurt you. That fumble that you was going down, driving down the field for, you get to the goal line and you fumble at the goal line, that hurts. And then not only did they recover the New England recovered, but they took it, started to return it. And then when we speak about the special team, so the special team, I got the wrong orange team key, my fault. But there was special teams that they fumbled on. And turn that ball over. So yeah, you got two turnovers like that probably, that like I said, that one at the goal line could have changed the outcome of the game had things kind of went the same way that it was going, and then you could have had another opportunity to score with the turnover on the special team. So I don't know, man. Like I said, it's gonna be a long season if they're just gonna ride Joe Shiesty, and I hope that they get it together, for ACC and the rest of the Bengals nation.
Okay, so we have a couple super chats here. Jeff here says Smith offense is significantly better than Canada. Didn't need to be super aggressive with the way the defense was shutting down Atlanta. Offense converted down a distance when needed to and kept the defense fresh. Victor here says Ace, Zach always states it's a long season. He's using the first 2-3 games as preseason to end the season strong run, in my opinion.
Hold on, wait, we got to address that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anything you want to say, Ace?
Yeah, I mean that is Zach Taylor talk. It's a long season.
Saying that like 2 to 3 games in the regular season are going to be treated like the preseason, that can't be an acceptable cope, right? Like You can't do that, right? Like that.
Not
That can't be the case. And then also, like, did they not actually play in the preseason this year?
yes, they did.
You can't. So here's my thing with that as well, Victor, is can't use that because you're not going to get a 1 seed that way. You're not going to get a first round bye or something like that way. These games, like this Patriots game, even if the Bengals go on a run, you're still going to be like, damn, we should have won that Patriots game. And that's the last thing that you want to be thinking about when it's playoff time.
Yeah, remember, it's an AFC loss, right? It counts more than in the case of Q. That was an NFC loss. So, Vinny here says, "Nice beer, J Rock." Hawk says, "Ace, we always lose to backup Q."
Wait, there was a super chat we didn't address.
No, I haven't seen. I've taken it all.
I said it was $20.
I appreciate
No,
you.
we
sir.
talked about that one. We just put it on
Okay.
screen. I just think the person thought since we didn't get to it immediately and like stopped
Okay.
the show, get to it, we weren't gonna ever get to it. But no, we got to it.
Yeah, no, I get to it, all of them, guys. And then the 188 says, "It's definitely not proven the Bengals can run the football with the backs they have." Lots of questions around if those.
If they had Barry Sanders, Zach Taylor would let him get like 5 carries. Like he doesn't run the ball, dog. I do this every time. It doesn't matter who the running back is. Joe Mixon just won AFC Player of the Week. Okay, he just had 178 yards, like 2 touchdowns, and Zach Taylor would have probably given him like 7 carries. Okay, so they don't run the ball, bro. We'll see if they try to do more next week against Kansas City, but I wouldn't bet my life on it.
And in the case lifted, I don't know where you're talking. We put all the super chats in there, so all the super chats because they come with a little star to me, and I put them all there. So
yeah, that's the only reason I brought it up because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I just think he was a little too early on that comment, I guess, like you said.
So let's talk about the only team that won this week.
Let's go.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, with a power offense, a brilliant offensive plan, killing the Dirty Birds over there in Atlanta. Q warned me, and I was stupid in betting Atlanta. Q warned me. Q said,
Was J-Rock the only one that picked Pittsburgh to win
Yep.
this one?
"No, you."
Yep.
I'm about to say you picked him.
No, he said him and Q, he said both of them. Yeah, you two were Q. It was you and J Rock that were.
He's
on.
betting on Atlanta.
Because Q said, "Doesn't matter who Atlanta has, it's still Atlanta. It doesn't matter, Atlanta." And the only thing I said was, "This is a Tomlin type of game." Anyway,
talking about the quarterback upgrade. It looked like Desmond Ritter to me, dog. Like
TJ Watt looked good. TJ Watt was living in that
As always.
backfield, that
like 2
defense.
penalties away from having like 4 sacks.
As always.
All right,
Watt was the defense in general was amazing. Kept this team in it, kept this team, and won the game. J-Rock, thoughts?
Oh yeah, let me take my because we just got finished coming off of work. Let me take the clothes off. But no, man, we had great defensive game. I think we had a great defensive game. I think they snubbed my man TJ on 2 sacks, 2 strip sacks. He should have had the one that the ref admitted that he made a mistake on. And so that he ended the game with 1. He recovered a fumble. He had like a couple tackles for loss. I mean, he was out there having his way, with the team. So offensively, I think that we struggled a little bit more than we should have. We had efficient running the ball. We was efficient running the ball, but where we rested in was having Justin Fields convert. I think on 5 first downs he converted with his legs, and that's what we've been missing since we had Big Ben. He had a couple good passes with GP down the field. He had a couple other good passes to Frymouth, and then he did what he needed to do to win the game. The game ball goes to Chris Boswell, though, the only person to score on the team with 6 field goals, and then stepping into the punter role when the punter got hurt. So I think they did a good job of managing the game, winning the game, getting out of week 1 healthy somewhat with a good win. And then off the week 2 versus Denver.
Q, what do you thought of this game?
I thought this was exactly the game that we thought we were going to get out of Pittsburgh and the Atlanta Falcons, partly because I trust Pittsburgh to be much more competent than the Atlanta Falcons.
I should have trusted you.
Who were starting Kirk Cousins. We all saw this could be a Tomlin game, right? Like the only outcome I think Atlanta would have won in this one if they would have got out fast and start throwing that ball downfield. But Pittsburgh's a really good defense. They're going to force it into that kind of game if you aren't an overtly talented team. And I don't think the Atlanta Falcons were that. I think we kind of upped what the Atlanta Falcons were in our mind because we thought Desmond Ridder was just the worst quarterback to ever exist. And that might be true. But the truth is that it ain't like them pieces was out here carrying Desmond Ridder to competence either. Like, it just is what it is. Bijan Robinson was not great in this one. 3.5 yards a carry. Nobody really ran the ball extremely well in this one. I think everybody, for the most part, that's non-quarterback in this game was under 4 yards a carry, which is the baseline for what you should get as a running back. So the run game was tight here. I thought both defenses at least showed up to a point. And Atlanta really should be concerned because the fact that they lost this game by what is essentially almost 2 scores. It felt like 2 scores when they got a lot of help from the refs. I mean, they should be really concerned about this one.
And not to cut into that, but not only that, but you had turnovers. We had 2 interceptions and a fumble that we recovered. So that's 3 turnovers. And like I said, you still really within 1 score. If you really go for 2.
Yeah.
So.
And the fact that Ray McLeod was their number 1 targeted wide receiver in this one, okay, hey, I guess that's how they live in. Where was Drake London? They targeted Drake London 3 times. Ray McLeod, 7 targets. 7 targets. I forgot he didn't run punts. Huh?
No, my fault. I didn't mean to cut you. I was saying him and Pitts had the blanket on him.
That's crazy. That's crazy. 7 targets for Ray McLeod. I mean, that tells you where Kirk's at. Ain't no way Ray running a intention. Ain't no way you got Ray out here running a deep 9 or a post or a 7. What Ray running? Ray running the don't hear Kirk. That's what Ray running. And so these are check downs. Look, when your running back and Ray McLeod got 12 targets between the both of them. That means Kirk Cousins has gone from captain check down to only check downs. How they got the oops all berries? This is the oops all check down game from Kirk Cousins. Didn't even attempt to get this ball downfield at all. Was living in his fears. He looks like he's cooked. It is what it is there with Kirk Cousins. And this is why I be saying, y'all, we cannot be overrating a mediocre quarterback upgrade. It is what it is. It is not going to change the life of the team that you have. Now, speaking of that, hey, Pittsburgh, this one felt very familiar. If Pittsburgh and Atlanta played last year, this is exactly how that game would have went.
Same score.
Exact same game. Now, I think some of the parts of the Steelers
last year, I think.
Yeah, I think some of the parts. What was the score last year, by the way, J-Rock? Would you like to tell me?
I'm about to look it up right now.
Okay. When you get the score, let me know. But some of the stuff I think for the Steelers did look a little bit more promising. They were able to get a lot more first downs than I remember the Steelers getting on a regular basis in this game. Let me look up the stats here for the first downs just to correct myself. But yeah, they got 16 first downs in there. That's a competent number.
Yeah, it was a preseason game, beating 24-0.
Okay. Cool. But 16 first downs, I mean, y'all champs in preseason, so y'all brought that preseason success over. But
we was trash this year, though.
Yeah, 16 first downs. That's a competent number from the offense. Didn't really execute well in the red zone. That's just going to be Justin Fields, though, right? Justin Fields is really good on the sideline throws. He's really good throwing the ball deep. he can get a big play. But once you start asking Justin Fields to process and hit tight windows like you would in the red zone, then it starts to become very apparent that Justin Fields is your quarterback, right? And there are some flaws with Justin Fields being there. It's just the truth of it. That's what he was in Chicago. It's what he's going to continue to be. The man's in like his 6th year of NFL football. It's who Justin Fields is. So I don't really see a significant improvement coming there. The run game was a little bit concerning. Like, it was serviceable for what they needed, but I wonder against a better team, will this be something that ends up being fine enough? Najee Harris, 20 carries, 70 yards. And there's a world where you can look at it and say Najee had 70 yards. 20 carries, 70 yards, that's 3.5 a carry. That is bad. I talk about Air Force Ones and him being a generic running back. I mean, that ain't beating the charge. 20 carries, 70 yards, 3.5 a carry. That's not above average running back stuff. And then did Jalen Warren get hurt? Did I miss that?
You're muted.
He got a hamstring injury in the preseason, so they kind of like working him back in.
So that's why he had 2 carry. Now, they ran Justin Fields a lot, and that was probably their most successful guy on the field running the ball. 14 carries for Justin Fields. It makes me wonder, too, J-Rock, what's the offense going to look like if Russ is in there? Because Russ ain't running that ball 14 times.
No, Russ ain't gonna win the ball 14 times. They'll just like check it down. He's gonna check it down to them tight ends. So he's gonna check it down to his running back.
So you're gonna look like the Atlanta Falcons did. Hey, bro, I think you're a better team with Justin Fields out there. I'm gonna put that out there now before we know.
That's why I wanted Justin Fields out there, because you can box him in and you can try to play him a certain type of way, but he has the athleticism to make the certain type of plays.
Because so much
with Wilson, he gonna be confined in the pocket. You rush him enough or good enough, he gonna fold.
Because so much of your ability to get first downs, I think, came through Justin Fields' ability to move his legs and be athletic. So it is an improvement for Pittsburgh's offense. Is it enough of an improvement for them to be like a good offense? I don't think so. But it is an improvement. George Pickens did his thing, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 85 yards. He was hooping. Like, George Pickens got the hand-eye coordination of somebody who slap boxes for fun, and I enjoy watching him play football. He's dope. Pat Freiermuth, everybody else, I mean, these numbers look familiar. Right? 4 receptions, 27 yards. Like, it's not terrible. Jalen Warren, 2 receptions, 13, and then we don't even see another wide receiver until Calvin Austin with his 1 reception, 7 yards. I mean, we got 1 wide receiver in the top 5 of your receptions. It ain't.
They get done on Washington pace though.
Oh yeah, he's not wide receiver though, but they gave him 1. They gave him 1 target.
They gave him 1.
They gave him 1 target. A wide receiver not named George Pickens in this game was targeted 4 times. 2 Van Jefferson targets and then 2 Calvin Austin targets. Yes, I still think the Steelers have issues with their offense that are going to show against a better team. I just was never convinced that the Atlanta Falcons were good. I think a lot of people convinced themselves of that. I was never convinced that the Atlanta Falcons were good because I'm here. Okay, I see them, dog. I know the Atlanta Falcons. Nah, they not like that. I will say, though, very promising game for Minka Fitzpatrick. We've been wondering if we're going to get which Minka we're going to get. Minka looks back. TJ looks much better than he did at points of last year, right? TJ, we talked about, had a little bit of a sneaky off year if you look at his advanced numbers. I don't know what those advanced numbers are, but they look fine. Cam Hayward does not look cooked yet. I thought Deshaun Elliott really showed himself as a valuable addition to the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary, and somebody who's going to be very useful for them going forward. And Dante Jackson, right? You know, you traded Deontay Johnson to get him. It looks like week 1, at least, it felt worth it. That defense for Pittsburgh might be significantly improved. I don't know if I remember seeing much from Pat Queen in this one. I don't think I did, but
he got in on a couple tackles. I think he had like 2 tackles. He ain't really do too much.
Oh, he put up Roquan numbers, but
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you know, they call him the architect of the defense in Baltimore for that. But all jokes aside, I think the Steelers defense does look improved. And if I'm looking around at defenses this week, and look, it might just be Kirk Cousins is that bad, right? But if we're talking about week 1, if we're ranking the defenses after week 1, I have to say Pittsburgh had the strongest showing out of anybody in the AFC North. And I think that they probably, as of right now, have the bragging rights for the best defense in the North at this point. And I think they'll be in a conversation with Baltimore and Cleveland at the end of the season when it comes to best defenses, because they do look a little bit improved here. And I think that's important, right? That secondary has been an issue for them. If it's not leaky anymore, then we'll find out. Again, it's not like the Atlanta Falcons targeted a ton of wide receivers in this game, so we don't really know if that secondary is leaky or not. But we do know that those tight ends held up a lot better in coverage than they did last year, because usually you would get torn apart throwing that many checkdowns. But so I think this defense is a little bit improved. Offensively, I think they're the same. Like, Pittsburgh's still gonna have to win the same way. They're still gonna have to play Tomlin games. I don't think the offense is gonna be a different story than it was last year. But defensively, it looks better. Again, it might have just been Cook Kirk. Who y'all play next week?
Denver.
Broncos. Bo.
Well, we're not going to find out till who y'all play after that.
I about to say we play the Broncos. Then I think we play
They have the
Chargers.
the Chargers, and then the Colts. So
Okay, so we'll find out in 2 weeks what you guys are when you play the Chargers and the Colts. But defensively right now, because I'm not about to sit here and act like you shut down Bo Nix. Yeah, man, it's done for Pittsburgh. Like, that's just not sufficient evidence if you shut down Bo Nix and Cook Kirk. But if you do that to the Chargers, one of them Harbaugh brothers, and then also Shane Steichen, I might be moved on that. And, you know, my eyebrows are raised by this Pittsburgh defense. And we'll see what Justin Fields can continue to do. We'll also see if Justin Fields stays on the field, because Russ is back at practice. And, you know,
I think
I think you'd be a damn fool to get him out of there already.
It felt like a quiet bench.
And I really
because Russ was
in my heart of hearts, I really think the players want Justin Fields over Russ.
Everybody wants. It's obvious. He ran the ball 14 times. He's a huge part of what they want to do offensively. They're running the Marcus Mariota playbook, and you can't do that with Russ. Like, if you put Russ in, you lose 56 yards of offense for an offense that had like 200 yards, 300 yards total, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a huge chunk. Like, there's no way you're a better football team with Russ out there, especially if Russ can't run no more.
Let me have this, and with this I have to bail. But it is definitely the same type of team. Defense quite well, but I do think Fields fits better the style of football that Mike Tomlin would like them to play, because it will allow them to keep that time of possession, keep that ball on the offensive side, burn that clock. Tomlin's fine with a 6 field goals game. He's fine with that. He doesn't need touchdown. In his book, that Sunday's game is a perfect game for him. Like, he can live with that. And I think that's what it's gonna be for Pittsburgh. I have to go, guys, but we'll be back on Friday. Ace, you're gonna take it over.
Yeah, I think as we kind of predicted, man. Well, I didn't predict this because I predicted an L, but we did predict that the Pittsburgh Steelers, defense was going to show up, if anything, right? I don't think that we are worried about whether or not they're going to show up or not. I honestly thought Justin Fields gave them a better chance to win. I just think that it makes the offense better. It adds a different dimension to what we expect there. We knew that they'd be able to run the ball. They were able to get a couple plays in there to George Pickens. But most importantly, they were able to go on the road and get a much-needed win against a defense that's pretty good. I kind of talked about the Atlanta defense. They also had a good defense. Steelers came out on top. They did what it needed to be done. And Q tried to warn me. Q was like, this is a Tomlin game. It's a Tomlin game, Ace. Don't write them off. We know how this goes. I reminded you
of every reason why the Atlanta Falcons are unserious. I was like, hey, bro, Kirk Cousins,
the
Falcons. We about to trust the Falcons to be more competent than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we was just like, nah, they got Drake London. I was like, oh.
Yeah. At least welcome back Kyle Pitts. But, yeah, Drake London is, that was one of the auto draft picks for me, and they picked Drake London. So,
hey, bro, if I have an Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, trade him now before everybody finds out.
I'm going to try to get Snap out of here. But Steelers took care of business, man. I mean, I think that they have an opportunity now to get off to a quick start, because I know once that the meat of the schedule starts to hit, it's a lot harder for them. So these are the ones that they have to win, and they're doing what they're supposed to do which is what a Tomlin coach team does, is get these wins that you need, and try to sneak some of these other ones out. But if they're playing this way, I think for the majority of the season they're going to be a tough out. So shout out to them for going 1-0 in the North.
This is why they always go 500.
Yep. And J-Rock, it's on you. We gotta give you the floor, man.
About
the Steelers. Did you already talk about the Steelers?
Yeah, you already talked about it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll let
Okay.
it out. I keep it up.
We got super
That's
chats
not
to
bad.
get to, and then we can get out.
Yeah, I got a couple super chats here. So Nightmare Kilo, are the Ravens
Why is
cooked?
that the takeaway?
Are the Ravens cooked?
No, they're not cooked.
I don't think they're cooked right
Why
now.
would you say that?
They just plateaued.
They
Yeah,
just
I don't think
they just get into the game and do bad play
Now,
calls.
this one is between y'all. Great to watch TJ Watt, best defender in the NFL. I'm gonna let y'all have that.
The 1-1. The 1-1-88.
We'll wait.
Let
till
him-
the
let
end of
him
the
know.
season. We know who's the best defensive.
TJ should have had about 4 sacks and 2 strip fumbles.
He's got to stop
All right,
committing penalties.
Russ is a more accurate passer than Justin.
Yeah, but he's slow as dirt. Like, would you gonna get 20 extra passing yards, but you're gonna lose out on 60 rushing yards? Is it worth it?
And add probably like 4 or 5 more sacks.
It's a reason why don't nobody want to start him.
My guy Diddy said, "Ace Joe Mixon sure does look washed, didn't he? Yeah, super washed.
Hey,
Super
bro,
washed.
y'all
He just
had me
doesn't have it
convinced.
anymore. He just
Y'all
doesn't
had
have
me
it anymore.
convinced that Joe Mixon was washed. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Joe Mixon was washed. I thought Joe Mixon was never good to begin with because of how Zach
Hard to
Taylor
say.
was using him. And then I see in one game there, I'm like, oh yeah, he was tight at Oklahoma.
Yeah. Yes, sir. According to StatHead, most of
It's not
TJ Watt's
violent, though.
advanced numbers were better than the defensive player of the years were. LOL.
A lie don't tell who tell it. A lie don't care who tell it.
Ooh.
A lie don't care who tell it. We know who had the better win rate, who had the better double team rate. Come on.
Look.
Shout out to the 188 again.
Hey,
Appreciate it, man. He's the MVP of this one.
Straight up.
Minka is the best free safety in the NFL. That ain't changed.
You tell us
We'll
no
see.
lie.
We'll see. It is week 1.
I mean, well, is he the best free safety in the NFL?
Who better?
I don't know, but like, do it.
Jesse
Like,
Bates,
really?
huh?
Maybe.
Jesse
Who?
Bates.
Jesse
better?
Bates.
Oh my
Jesse
goodness.
Bates.
Yeah, you got.
Jesse Bates.
Look, I'm gonna get you some
Jesse Bates.
some syrup for that cold because
Jesse Bates.
no sir. I don't know.
No.
Hey.
It used to be a debate on this show.
Where's Kyle Hamilton in this conversation?
Six interceptions last year. I don't know. All pro.
Where's Kyle
Bro,
Hamilton in
Jesse
this
Bates.
conversation?
Kyle Hamilton. He waiting. He not in the neighborhood yet, man.
He's not in the neighborhood.
He trying to get over there. He around the corner right now.
Who are the best
They gotta put him strictly at that.
We got to get
position
him out of
before we
the
had to get him off
Nickelback
Kyle.
neighborhood and try to get him over to the safety
That's why I said
neighborhood.
he gotta-
he in the
I'm telling
Nickelback
you,
neighborhood.
we had to
right
rank
now.
him as a safety. What position he played?
Slot corner.
I think more slack. We should have looked at the.
So
snaps.
we had a
tried to do that.
majority on this vote, and we still lost.
We don't know where he plays. We don't know. Yeah,
We
don't know
both
where he
said
plays.
we all three of us said he is slot corner, and we somehow ended up ranking him as a safety. We got to organize better.
Organized.
But I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is AFC North Talk. Please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, hit those alerts. Make sure that those are turned on because you never know when we're going to go live. We'll be back, though, Friday around 6 o'clock, I believe it is. So make sure that you guys set your reminders. We'll be back to preview all of our matchups after Thursday Night Football. What's
By
up,
the
Q?
way, Steelers fans, it's nice to hear from you again. We haven't heard from you all off season.
It's
It
been a
seems like if
minute,
the
man.
team don't win, you don't be here. But strong showing from Pittsburgh fans today. It seems like you're actually motivated to show when your team shows up. There's a word that we usually call that, or a phrase that we usually call that in the sports context. But hey man, it's something. It is 65 degrees right now where I'm at, and I think that's pretty fair weather for what we have right now. So it just
Probably should have put a poll out. Probably should have put a poll out so they could actually vote on it. Huh?
Yeah, y'all would have.
That would have been a test. That would have been a test. If we would have killed in the polls, hey, you'd be like, all right, yeah, they just.
Well, you could have killed in the polls now because you won a game.
Right.
But I guess like the internet doesn't work in Pittsburgh or in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, when the Steelers don't win a game. So definitely glad to see Pittsburgh fans back from that internet hiatus. It's been quiet in here for there's been like 2 in chat this whole time.
We done had a lot of paid bills since
iPhone
Sunday.
updates since then.
A
A lot of people done paid their Verizon bill, their internet bills.
Well, appreciate you guys for tapping in with AFC North Talk. We'll see you guys again Friday.
All right.